In this next article from the New York Post, public support for sports plummets amid BLM protest, pandemic, survey. More people have a negative view of pro sports than a positive one, as public support for America's athletics industry plummeted among the coronavirus pandemic, and athletes backing the Black Looter mob, a new survey released Monday reveals. Americans who have positive view of sports dropped from 45% positive in August 2019 to 30% positive last month, the Gallup poll found. Those polls are generally reliable. The number of citizens who've had a negative view shot up from 25% last year to 40% in August 2020. Wow, that's, about 15. That seems about the same ratio of people that I've observed in Eugene. People think that Oregon is a blue state. I really don't think so. I think Oregon is flipping red. In my experience, it's actually been a very small percentage of the people who are supporting the Black Looter mob, and the vast majority of the people they like people like Tim Pool and what's that guy JP, Awakening with JP on YouTube. That dude's hilarious. He lives in Portland, and like me, I helped start the 26 Portland anti-Trump protest before I joined Walk Away. And so the people, like the people who have been voting Democratic historically here, a lot of them have flipped. A lot of them have seen that, wait a minute, my cool hippie friends and the way cool rave DJs that I remember from back in the day who live out in the country, they are hardcore Donald Trump supporters, and these are the people that I actually like. In fact, the vast majority of people that I really like in Eugene, all of them don't hate Donald Trump. Like, in fact, most of them like Donald Trump and will be voting for Donald Trump. I would say a good maybe half of the people are just not voting for the Democrats. They still haven't warmed up to Trump, but I feel like the people in Eugene aren't really down with the hatred that's spewing out. We've always been a very loving community, but this ruins our rave scene. And I'm getting older, so I don't really throw raves anymore. I used to throw big raves, and I used to go to raves multiple times a week for a long time. And so if from running this news organization that is hypercritical of Black Looter mob, I am a target. I cannot go out without having defense. I have to get a concealed weapons permit, and always have a handgun, because people will try to kill me in a bar. Some Antifa thug, just some nasty, crusty street kid, just come up and just going out of the bar, everything's great, go to the car, and then bam! So I have to watch my back now. I can't go out to rave parties and get spun out on drugs and have a really good time dancing to techno music. Because there might be some crusty Antifa scabby that tries to kill me or beat me up. That poisons our dance community. Like, we have one of the most vibrant hopping dance communities that I've ever come across. I mean, like, we got heady Burning Man parties with like $50,000 sound systems, and like bringing in buses full of people with like half naked chicks, some of them fully naked. Everybody's just getting like twacked out on Molly, LSD, mushrooms, 2CI, 2CB, any kind of weird analog drug you can come across, cocaine, smoking weed everywhere. So that ruins our dance community. because there are a lot of people like me. And when you target these people for hatred, hostility, and violence, what you've done is you've completely destroyed our precious Burning Man community by alienating people and making a really shitty vibe. So, yeah, I really despise this black looter mob. I support black lives. I support the shifting of the permanent underclass into the middle class. But there's a problem. It requires you getting a good education, because you can't, in order to even be in the upper class and middle class, you have to, there's always competing forces that are trying to bring everyone down to come up to the top. And you can't just be given money and then like it fixes things. You actually have to have a good attitude towards education. You can't be like go out beating up people, robbing and killing, and burning down the hood over some black guy in another city that you've never even met, don't have any connection to. You got some fake news that the cops killed him. So then you go out and burn your city down, saying that like it's systemic racism why people want to hire you. Like, no shit, dude. You just burned their business down. Of course they're not going to hire you, dude. Like, this is common sense, man. But no, the common sense in the hood is lacking. It's because they shift the blame onto scapegoats that aren't around so that they can't get any sort of fact checking. And what you end up with is anarchy, lawlessness, murder, rapes, tortures. Then it starts to, if the government knows that they can get away with a lawless state, such as in World War II, in the rise of the Third Reich, during the Night of Broken Glass, when the Nazis rioted and killed 96 Jewish shop owners and business owners. In the George Floyd race riot, they killed about 11 people. So wait, let's do the calculation. It's so congratulations, America. You're 8.72% Nazi. We're doing better than we used to. You got to give credit where credit is due. Our society used to be savage and brutal. So compared to what it used to be, it's actually not savage and brutal. In fact, we even have common law now, and people will go to jail if they do that stuff. But it still happens, and it's because it's part of human nature. You can't eliminate it completely. But in the Night of the Broken Glass, the police officers did not stop the rioters. And then it created a state of lawlessness where it signaled to the politicians that you can get away with the state of lawlessness and that we'll still vote for you. And that's when Adolf Hitler overthrew the government. That's how it happens. That's what the Democrats are trying to do with the help of the Chinese Nazi Party. It's all a massive, huge cyber warfare operation funded by Winnie the Pooh. Xi Jinping does not like it if you call him Winnie the Pooh. In fact, they even banned Winnie the Pooh from China. But he does look almost just like Winnie the Pooh. And if you don't believe me, see? The cheeks. The chin. See, they have the same chin. Same kind of mouth structure. Eyes look similar. Ears are in a different spot. Okay. Here we have another one. I have not seen this one. Here, Xi Jinping is with, who is that? It's not Jack Ma. It's here's Xi Jinping, or Zinni the Pooh is his nickname, and President Obama. And as you can see, President Obama looks like Tigger. Here's another one. It's so much fun to troll Zinni the Pooh. So what else do we need to cover in here? People aren't down with taking a knee. Dude, when you take a knee to a political organization, you're bowing to them. You're saying that I understand your power in the legal sense, understand in a courtroom. When you say I understand you, judge, you have entered into a legal contract that you are below the judge. It's got like some antiquated old common law word meaning that most people don't understand. So you should be careful when you use the word understand, because it technically is a contract. But when you kneel, you're being under something. You're understanding that thing. And so Black Looter Mob is attempting, they aren't happy with, well, first off, they don't really have any reforms that their political proposal is that they will tell you what they're going to do after the election, which is basically, that's authoritarianism. You're like, wait a minute, so you guys just got like $1 billion in scam donations and you're going to tell us what you're going to do after the election? Okay. Yeah, I can't support that. That's toxic. That's corrupt. These people support Marxism. The heads of the BLM movement say they're trained Marxists. They're like trained communists. How do you get trained to be a communist? Right? Oh, they went to school, so they got some BS degree, and in the radical leftist university, they got radicalized into far leftism and communism and Marxism. And they believe in what is called dialectic materialism, which is it's part of Marxism. It's the eternal struggle between the poor people and the bourgeoisie, where the bourgeoisie will always favor everything towards themselves and they'll waste, quote unquote, waste it. This is really their white knight syndrome. I mean, they're saying, no, if I had those resources, I wouldn't waste them. Yeah, right. You're right. I'm calling you on that one, dude. You had those resources, you would be much worse than that other person. This is the biggest problem with most of these people who are always complaining about discrimination, is that generally the reason why they're not doing well is because they never really actually tried very hard themselves. They just constantly blame the white man. So about 45% of African Americans in many big cities are unemployed. And they say it's systemic racism. This is why they aren't getting a job. This is the reason why they're not looking for a job or trying to move out of the hood. No, they say, no, I shouldn't have to move out of the hood. No, the white man needs to stop discriminating against us. So it's their fault that I didn't do well in school and that I am selling drugs and producing hip hop music. Right. Right. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense, dude. See, you have to start taking personal responsibility for things. A lot of times, even if it wasn't your fault, you have to if you're a manager, you have to take responsibility for it. You have to say, no, I am in control of this. This is how people get wealthy. They say, I am in control of all this stuff. It is me who is the decider. I am the one who makes all the decisions. And if there's anything that's wrong here, it's my fault. And I'm going to do the best that I can to fix that. And it's going to be perfect. Hold on. It will be good enough. Actually, if you try to make it perfect, it can oftentimes end up screwing you over. And then it doesn't end up being perfect in the end. It's just kind of, it's better to make a machine that's just good enough in a shorter period of time for cheaper than it is to make a machine that fixes everything. This is what I learned in my first startup. But they, if you actually gave them the workload, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't want to actually do it. They would want to go out, hang out and party with their friends. And then if you brought in a Trader Joe's, they say, oh, we're in a food desert. The white man's holding us down. But then you go look at their shopping cart when they go to Walmart, and then they load it up with junk food and really bad food, and they don't buy many vegetables. And this is why they're in a food desert. And it's because the people don't buy the healthy food. They want that fried chicken and those snacks. They want like easy, convenient food because they up in the hood, and they would rather do something else because, I don't know. But they blame the white man. But then if they had a Trader Joe's there, they wouldn't want to eat less good food. They would just want to continue gorging themselves on this really bad food. And this is why so many black people are so overweight. Sorry, African Americans are so overweight. It's because their society in the hood. This isn't the people. I'm not talking about the people out in the country. They're totally different. The people in the hood are way different than the people out in the country. And so this is why the black looter mob is just, it's like the entire notion of Black Lives Matter is in fact racist, because you're saying that all black people act the same. This is not true. This is not true in any way, shape, or form. The people in the country are not having these problems. It's just the people in the hood who are getting the low GPAs, who are selling drugs and making hip hop music. And they're probably really fun people, except for the people that want to rob you. But it's normalized to rob people up in the hood. This is just like something that you have to expect. You have to lock your doors. Like these people in the hood have gangs of people where they got like fully automatic weapons, and they are all packing heat, and they are selling all kinds of weird drugs. And of course, it's not all of them, but a large percentage of the hood is hella down with this. So when you say that you're going out and you're trying to help black lives, you're like, are you talking about people up in the hood, or are you talking about some black guy out in the country? Because the black guy out in the country is probably a Republican, and he probably doesn't actually support black looter mob because they burn, loot, and murder, and they're not down with that. They would rather have the white guys be on their side. They would rather be on the side of the white guys because there's way more of them. And well, it just makes sense to be on their side because then they'll treat you good. But if you're on the opposite side, where you're just trying to attack their white privilege, you think there's endless white privilege coming from a white privilege factory, and that these white guys they're oppressing you, these racist Republicans in those poor rural states are oppressing the African Americans in the big cities. So they need to take your white privilege and give it to a Latino, because the African Americans' grades are too low. So they can't just get the white people to hire all the minorities because the African Americans' grades are too low. So they have to hire one of them. So they just hire the Latinos because their grades are better and they don't talk back as much and they have a better attitude about education. So the situation that we have is they're basically trying to take the money from the white people to give it to the black people to get the Latinos and the white feminists to vote for them. And this is why you should not support Black Litter Mob, because, well, this plan is straight up bozo. And then you put on top of it that they're in a suicide cult. These people in the big cities, they're convincing the women to put off having a kid until their 30s. And this makes them go down to only child. They only have one child. You have to have 2 babies to continue your genetic line. If you only have 1, then your genetic line shrinks by half. If you have 2, it continues your genetic line, but one or both of your children might die. So you need to have 3 children to increase your genetic line, to carry it on, to propagate it. But they don't want to accept this reality. They want to pretend like it's the privileged white male that's holding down the women. So you have to feel bad, and you have to be a white knight to save the damsel in distress. And then you have to get Xena, social justice warrior, to come in and say, attack! Sick her beta male attack dogs on the imaginary misogynistic pig boogeyman that is holding down to women, or to women. And so it's like a culture that they've got where they can't accept that they're actually the problem. So they have to blame it on the people who aren't there. They have to scapegoat people, because the whole plan is so bozo. It's so stupid that nobody in their right mind would actually go through this plan of, wait a minute, I have to work full-time at a corporation and then I don't get to have kids and I have to like kill off my genetic line, when I could have had 4 kids and had 2 boys, and then I could have had two guy workers. Instead, I'm slaving for some shitty corporation that doesn't care about me, that is forcing me to work way too much, and the stress levels are really high. And because we're paying the men and women, everyone gets less money. So then the guys have to work way more, and then they get way less money, and then the women have to work more, and they get less money. Then and then in the end, your family dies off. Like, this fucking sucks, man. Like, everything about the Democrats' plan sucks. It's horrible. From start to finish, this is one of the worst plans that you can actually come up with. Like, instead of helping the majority of people, we're going to take the money from the majority of people to prop up the immigrants so that we can kick the white men out of the workplace because they're privileged white males and they don't deserve an equal share. No, we have to bias everything towards minorities, because in the big cities where most of the Democrats are, there's a lot of minorities, and that's the only way that they can stay in office, is if they pander to these people. So this is the national campaign that they have, where they think that this is going to fly in the rest of the world, where there aren't a lot of minorities, and where we would then just have our money extracted from our community and then sent into big cities to be given away to people with low GPAs who have high drug use and high crime. And what world do these people live in? This is a delusional fantasy world where everything is fake. It's all based off of lies. None of it is true. Everything about feminism is bullshit from start to finish. And that's what these people, this is supposed to be about Black Litter Mob, right? It's supposed to be about BLM. It's supposed to be about Black Litter. So what does feminism have to do with this? Why are there so many white feminists out protesting for BLM? You got to ask yourself. Why are the white feminists protesting and rioting? It's because it's an equality movement. They're out there protesting and rioting for more money for themselves. People are self-serving. They might tell you that they're being selfless, but it's a clever ruse that they're trying to cover up that they actually have secret motivations for. They want people to like them. They want to be in with their leftist community. And so this is why they're out there doing it. It's for themselves. They're not doing it for some gangbanger who got shot when they were in a gunfight with the cops, or when they were trying to stab the cops with a knife. No, they're absolutely don't care about that person's life at all. They think that he deserved what he got. No, they're doing it because they can rise up the social hierarchy while they make the white males go down the social hierarchy. This is instinctively what people do. That's why they're out trying to promote themselves, is they're trying to rise up the social hierarchy. If they are saying that that's not true, they're a liar. Because everyone is trying to do that. I am trying to do that. Currently, I am trying to rise up the social hierarchy through this YouTube channel. It's actually true. I'm not doing it out of to be completely selfless. I'm doing it for a self-serving reason, but it's because I got canceled, because I started posting meninist jokes after I helped start the 26 Portland anti-Trump protest. And then I realized that these people would turn on me if I started posting meninist jokes because they can't take a joke. Because I'd seen enough people do that. And then I started posting meninist jokes, and then they started coming after me. And then it's turned into a whole bunch of other things, because once people start attacking you, then it morphs into all these other things. And then ended up getting canceled in the programming community because of basically the Europeans, where hate speech is banned, and they just take anything. Like, Europe is straight up fruitcake. From banning hate speech, it's caused them to go insane. And so those people basically canceled my career. And so I have to. But it is, I'm doing it for me. But at least I'm honest about it. But other people are there to say, oh, no, I'm just trying to be nice. It's like, that's not true. They're doing it for a self-serving reason. These white feminists out here rioting are doing it for equality. They're doing it because it's the equality movement. They're doing it because Democrats win, because Black Looter Mob is a Democrat organization. It's a terrorist group. And they're just basically a bunch of liars. They're like, everything that they believe is a lie. All of it is based off of a lot of half-baked, not well thought out assumptions that turns out most of them are the opposite of the truth, such as feminism being good for you. No, feminism is not good for you. Feminism kills off your genetic line. It causes your people to go the way of the dodos. You do not want to kill off your genetic line. No, you as a woman, you want to have 3 or 4 children so that your family line grows in case one of your children dies. That's the way the world works. The world is sexist. It is. Because there is a penis and there's a vagina. And if you did not stick your penis in a vagina, we would all die. So you have to. And women can have babies. So women need to keep their legs closed because they can have a baby, right? Like, it's not that we're trying to slut shame you. It's that there's a lot of really bad consequences when you have a child out of wedlock. The vast majority of affluent people come from a 2-parent household. In order to be able to excel and to compete with the most competitive and smartest kids, you need to have somebody put more time into you. I mean, I know this is completely fucking obvious, right? But sometimes you have to say the obvious in order to understand. Like, F equals MA. All right. I mean, of course, it's completely fucking obvious, right? But you have to kind of say what goes up usually comes down in order to figure out that not everything that goes up goes down, because gravity is not intuitive. But it all starts by stating the obvious. And then once you state the obvious, then you can see that the whole, once you start stating like what's wrong with feminism, it's obvious that it's very bad. But nobody just ever questioned the essential tenets, like, well, how do you deal with a situation where women are beautiful in college, all the guys want to pay for their way, pay for dates, and then they all want to study with them. And then the guys they don't get that extra help. Like, once you state it, you're like, okay, well, there's now about 60% of the college degrees are held by women now. They own 2/3 of the wealth in the country, and they control 85% of consumer spending. So how is that good for me? Men work 50 minutes more per day than women, but then we get paid less money. And so then the woman has to slave, and then the woman wants to date a man with a better job than her. So she wants to date a guy. She doesn't want to date somebody who's lower than her unless he does all the housework. And then the guys don't want to do that. They're like, all right. It's pretty obvious, but they don't want to admit it. They want to say, no, women are altruistic. They're just altruistic, man. They're just, no, if you're a beta male, if you're like, don't have a good job and you're like overweight, chicks will just date you. No, no, that's not actually how it works. But everything to these people is a lie. I've beaten this horse to death. I'm sorry. That's what I have to say. The black looter mob is built upon lies.